હાઈડ પેનલ માટે જો હાઈડ પેનલ કરી દે. હાઈડ પેનલ છે ને
આ નીચેની
હાઈડ પેનલ કરવાની છે. હાઈડ પેનલ છે ને અહીંયા આવશે એટલે હાઈડ વિડીયો પેનલ. ઓકે ઠીક છે. આને હાઈડ કરવા માટે ખબર પડશે. અને હાઈડ કરવા માટે ખબર પડશે. હાઈડ ફ્લોટિંગ મીટિંગ કંટ્રોલ. હવે આમ starting. Okay, done. Friends, we are running a sequel on GST, and this is very in-depth analysis of GST, which is so huge and important one. So that once I'm going through the series every week, I'm coming with a different subject, and on GST only. Today I've taken a subject called ODIR. ODIR means online database data information retrieval and editing. So you go to the portal, you take the data, and you are analyzing the data. You are allowing to access the data. On the basis of that, there is YouTube. And for the same is with online and YouTube. I have taken a case study. Once you go through the case study, a lot of things would be clear on the subject of this thing. So there is a separate section for ODIR and YouTube, which I'm explaining here. Okay. So this is last talk, which I've talked on decoding of import and export and GST, including intermittent. This presentation is available on blog as well as YouTube. YouTube presentation is available and see Nitin Pathak, and you can go through the blog also. In blog, there is a YouTube presentation as well as PPT is available. So please use this. Next coming Saturday, today is a Friday. Next Saturday, I'm going to talk on important judgment, 100 important judgment. This is on 6th May. Today is April, so it will be on 6th May. Okay. This is my upcoming program. Today is 26th on this. Now today I'm going to what is ODIR, what is the impact on transaction, compliance, special compliance provided by this on this thing. What are the documentation need to be kept in case of ODIR transaction? Discussion of judgment, including YouTube. This is what I've taken last, which I'm not going to discuss. Whether a case study for intermediary, what is ABC? ABC is an importer, exporter, and XYZ is this thing. Same is the case for intermediary is this thing. 2.6 I have explained, 2.13 I have explained. The circular regarding intermediary is explained. What is section 13 already explained, whether in case of place of supply, in case of import or export, either an importer or an exporter is outside India, either supplier or recipient is outside India. There is a whole section 13, you need to travel. This is a specific, otherwise the destination-based taxation, which is already there, export, LUT is there. And this is the case of SNQs is explained in detail, which I'm not going to. Section 13 I've already explained in last. If you want to read the whole section 13, it would be available on blog, on PPT as well as on YouTube, which I'm not going to discuss. And section 12 is also explained. This is regarding online transaction or exception to this for local resident. There is a judgment of GoDaddy for the purpose of knowing whether it is intermediary, export or import. Bursary, I'm not taking. This is Tosniwala versus Thomas Joseph, McAfee, ASSI, Material Recycling, Global Research, AMD, Dharmendra Jani of Gujarat High Court. They've explained in detail this section. ENY, the whole judgment is like I've discussed whole what are the kind of transaction and why it is considered under section 216 as an export and not under the intermediary, which I've explained. My section knowledge is very poor, but the content would be very clear. These are very, if you want to do the export or intermediary, you just go through that section. It would be easy for you to make the things easy. Document to be kept for the purpose of this thing. Interest rate supply, exchange. I've explained last time, so I'm not going to export of goods, section 62. This is called this terminal case. Apex code, Ashoka. This is explained last time. I'm just not going for this time. Zero tax, that IGST or zero tax, when you're zero tax, when you're paying zero tax under LUT, you are entitled for refund for the purpose of which you have exported the goods or zero rate done. Zero rate include to a developer also. What are the provisions which I've explained? What are the steps by which you have to apply for a refund? Or when you pay the tax, it would be considered as IGST and you can claim the refund. There is a procedure which I have already explained in detail here. Service export, export to SEZ developer, what are the documents, how to do it, everything is explained in detail here. Grant of provisional refund, other this. Now I'm into ODIAR, which is the subject of today. Online information and database access or retrieval services. This definition expanded recently in Finance Bill 2023. They've included certain person. They've widened the definition. What are the kind of services which are covered, including when you're dealing with Zoom, when you're dealing with online software, cloud servicing, what are the kind of services which I already covered in the coming slides. Now I'm going for the definition. This concept was exactly definition from exactly borrowed from GST. As per the definition of ODIAR, services are those whose delivery is mediated through information technology. When you go to YouTube, when you go to Facebook, there is coming an advertisement. It comes automatically. As even Gmail also, even WhatsApp also. These are the services which is online used to have your information and then supply exactly for the purpose of that. So suppose I subscribe to YouTube, that there is an advertisement coming and I don't want YouTube to pay for the advertisement. I don't want advertisement to come. So when I pay the YouTube subscription, am I liable for GST under reverse charge mechanism? As I'm not a non-taxable person and I'm a consumer, I'm in India, I'm the recipient of services. But under the RCM, I have to pay, the person who is receiving the service, I have to pay. For that, when you are importing certain services, you are a recipient of services in India and service provider, supply of services in outside India. Say, for example, I subscribe to YouTube that they don't give me the advertisement doesn't come. Am I liable for GST? Under section 14, they have to pay tax on the services provided by YouTube to you. So I am a recipient of services received in India. There will be liable for tax, but tax would be paid under section 14 by the person who is not supplier of service not in India. That is coming under OIDAR. Okay. Online information and database access or retrieval. There are a lot of software which is available. There are a lot of tools available by which you can do something on your computer because of this tool. Say, for example, you are making a film. You use the software. So you are the service recipient. Who is the service provider is outside India, and where the service is served in India. So that would be coming under OIDAR. And though you are not a taxable person, and you are using for your personal purpose, not only for business purpose, even business purpose over here. what if you are registered taxable person, then you have to pay under RCM. Otherwise, so these are the provision which I have discussed in detail here. As per the definition of, so those who have a question can email me at nitinmpathak@gmail.com. Okay. And my WhatsApp number is then 9825804094. You can come and contact me for the question relating to GST for the purpose of having a clarity. I'll give my whole explanation to make you understand very easily. As per the definition of OIDR, services are those who are deliveries mediated through information technology over the internet, with the key characteristic being the rendering of such services essentially automated, involving minimal human intervention, and impossible to ensure in the absence of information technology. The definition also includes specific services, that is online advertising, cloud service etc., but that makes it an inclusive definition, allowing room for other services not specified here as also OIDR. The impact of amendment made. The amendment made now White Finance Act 2023 is the definition of OIDR. The services have a far-reaching impact on all services and overseas supplier with services. These are from three essential conditions which was there has been removed, essentially automated, and involve minimum human intervention. Though in practical, minimum intervention is there, but still they are considered as OIDR. For the purpose of somebody saying how much percentage is intermediary is required, it requires AI only. There is an algorithm by which they would provide the services, but still it would be covered under this. Another change in definition is the definition of non-taxable online recipient. Non-taxable means I'm not liable for tax for two reasons. My limit is beyond, though I'm using for business purpose, though I may be using for personal purpose. When I'm using for purpose of non-taxable, and though it is for business purpose, but I'm not a registered GST dealer. Hence, so what they're saying, definition of non-taxable online recipient has been amended to include unregistered person receiving OIDR services, irrespective of the usage of such services for business or non-business purpose. While the latter amendment does simplify the matter, but the former is still a dicey issue, which we are going to discuss. I am taking to the slides, and there is an what are the kind of services are there? Advertising on the internet. What are YouTube, FB, Gmail, and anything and everything you go, there is an advertisement. And how when they earn the maximum? During the election. All political parties spending money on advertising, even in mobile, you get an ad. Either Rahul or Modi Saab. Providing cloud services, provision of ebooks, movies, specific software, and other intangibles through telecommunication network and internet. Providing data or information, retrieval or otherwise, to any person, electronic from through computer network. Online supply of digital content like movie, television, music, and this thing. Though Netflix is done, Netflix is also coming under this thing. Digital data storage, online gaming. So what are the kind of services? This is exemplary which I have provided you so that you will be able to know where OIDR covered and what is the perplexity issue. So there are basically three things. One is the supplier, one is the recipient, place of supply, place of recipient, the kind of services, whether digitally, what type of services, where is the ultimate recipient of the services, where exactly delivery of goods or services are made. So there are 4 or 5 things. In case both the supplier and the recipient is of OIDR service are located in India, so I am providing a services which is OIDR. Okay, and both and receiver and supplier is in India, then it would be deemed to be a local supply. Located in India, it would be treated as a normal supply transaction, and the place of supply would be the recipient. It would be governed by default supply of rule. What is default supplier rule? Exactly when the goods or services are delivered, except Section 13. Okay. Section 13, where is the Section 13 come? Either supplier or recipient. Either of these is outside India, then the rule you have to go through the Section 13 to Section 13 2 to 13. If these are either recipient or you have to follow that rule. Otherwise, not. ODIAR is a part of Section 30. Okay. Okay, clear? Yes, no? ODIAR Section 14 is there. In case both the supplier as well as recipient is ODIAR service location. Now I'm coming here. In case where the services supplier also is located outside India and the recipient is located in India, in such cases, also the place of supply would be in India and the transaction would be liable for tax. In the case of ODIAR, supplier is outside India. Okay. So YouTube is outside India and recipient is located in India. In such case, the place of supply would be in India and the taxable would be there. Okay. So who would pay tax? If I have a GST registered, then I would pay through RCM. If I'm not registered, they have to pay under Section 14. Whether I'm a business user, non-business business user or other than business use, or I'm a GST registered, then I will be pay under RCM. If not, I'm a registered user, then company has to pay under Section 14. He has to register. There is only one place where it will be registered, very simple form. Every month he has to pay the tax from the receipt, whether whom he received, not an issue. So to qualify for the definition of what is the following, it's the delivery of service should be through internet. Should be impossible to render without information technology. Delivery of service should be essentially automated and involve minimal human intervention. The concept of taxation of ODIAR service puts an overseas company providing such services to Indian customers who are not registered under GST and using services of a non-business purpose. Point to note that here is that GST registered customer in India is anyway responsible to pay point to note that here that a registered GST registered person in India is in any way responsible to pay GST on reverse charge basis on import of services, including ODIAR services. So, the trigger of GST on levy on overseas supply is when such services are supplied to non-registered customer only. Okay. In such case, overseas supply need to register itself in GST and comply the relevant provision, as I've said previously. YouTube is outside India. GST, advertisement is giving advertiser who is a GST registered, he would pay under RCM. Those who are personal advertiser for business purpose other than business purpose not registered, Section 14 they will pay. Okay, and he has to register. I have covered when any service recipient in taxable territory receiving cross-border B2C service recipient in taxable territory. So I am the recipient in YouTube, I am the recipient of services. Receiving cross-border B2B, B2C, B2B, they have to be under RCM. Okay. Here, taxable is exempt. ODIAR service is taxable. Taxing is on forward because I have to pay as I'm in India, supplier in taxable territory, which is not when somebody is providing a type of services which is outside India and which is served outside India, then it would be exempted. And all including IR taxable reverse charge service recipient, which I already explained. These are the chart is clear to explain. Compliance to be undertaken. What are the types of compliance they have to undertaking? For YouTube, I'm taking YouTube, that is Gmail and WhatsApp and so forth. What they have to do? we have to mention that the compliance to be undertaken by overseas water service will be provided through the following paragraph. Please note that these compliance are applicable to service provider located in non-taxable territory. What is taxable territory? In India. So where is YouTube? Outside India. Okay. So he is in a non-taxable territory. He is providing services to a taxable person. He would be paying under RCM. Those who are non-taxable person, who YouTube has to pay non-tax online, that is B2C transaction in taxable territory, because he is providing services in India. He is liable to pay tax because recipient is India, supplier receiver is in India, delivery is in India, outside India. OIDR, if it is not OIDR, not liable for tax under RCM. If no, not like that. Suppose if it is not a OIDR, YouTube is providing service not a OIDR, and I am not a business person, then it will not be covered, is exempt. Okay. Is YouTube is equal to OIDR, if other than non-tube and is providing services to non-business person, no tax, exempt. No registration is required. Okay. Any ODIAR provider supplying online information database access or database services from a place outside India to a taxable person on online recipient is required to obtain a single GST registration under simplified registration scheme in form GST Register 10. Where is the registration is to be made? Principal Commissioner, Bangalore. West is a designated authority. In case there is a person who has some designated person in India, then he has to take the registration and pay GST. If there is no person in India, he has to appoint somebody in India and has to pay GST accordingly. He can pay under normal mechanism, and there are two more mechanism is provided, so that EEASIEST or SWIFT method, he can pay directly from outside India through SWIFT method. Okay. He has to file a return monthly in Form 5A before 20th of each next calendar month. There is a circular issued, notification issued for exemption. The imposition of GST on EIDR service provided from outside is well thought and practical step. What is even more commendable, there is a simple form is provided, simple mechanism, though no hassle, no too much data, and only one place, which is Bangalore. You have to file online. Okay. So when any OIDR service is provided by a person who is not in Indian territory, he can pay through this mechanism. Section 14(1), if I have to explain, I can read, and this will make you think more clear. Okay. On supply of online information database services by any person located in non-taxable territories. So it's YouTube is outside and received by a non-taxable person. Suppose I am using YouTube and I'm paying for advertisement. I don't want advertisement. I'm paying the money. Received by non-taxable online recipient, the supply of service located in non-taxable territory shall be a person liable to pay IGST on such supply, provided that in the case of supply of online services by any person located in non-taxable territory and received by a person in non-taxable and it as an intermediary located in the non-taxable territory who arranges or facilitates the supply of service shall be deemed to be. So there is an intermediary here. Intermediary is defined under section under there. Okay. In that case, who arranges a facility for supply shall be deemed to be the receiver services from the supply of services in non-taxable territory and supply services to non-taxable receiver, except when such intermediary satisfies the following condition. Provided that in the case of supply of online information by a person, non-taxable intermediary located in non-taxable territory who arranges the facility supply of service will be from the supply of services in supplying this thing, except when such intermediary satisfies the following condition. Intermediary, he doesn't have to pay tax. He on behalf of that, he will pay tax when invoice or customer bill or receipt issued are made available by such intermediary taking part What is the intermediary? He is the facilitator. There are two persons, supplier and buyer, supplier or recipient, and he is only providing the क्या बोलते हैं, agent or a brokerage or any other means. In this case, he is a broker or an agent and giving certain services, providing logistic or something, but not a wholesome of thing. Not like a management consultancy or providing and doing on behalf of that subcontract. Intermediary, we are not discussing here. Otherwise, it on its own becomes a subject. So when it is an intermediary, the invoice or customer's bill or receipt issued or made by such intermediary taking part in the supply of clearly identify the service in question and its supplier in non-taxable. The intermediary involved in the supply does not authorize the charge to the customer or take part in its charge, which in that intermediary neither collects or process the payment in any manner, nor is responsible for the payment between the non-taxable territory and this thing. The intermediary involved in supply of goods, which I already covered. I think these are the same thing. I don't want to discuss this. Here I am dealing with high C sales. What is high C sales I am discussing, and what is the GST impact? High C sales is a transaction wherein sales are carried out by a consignee of the goods to another buyer while the goods are still in transit. Okay, I give you an example of also. So that makes it clear. By transferring ownership, the term high seas means the open sea that is not a part of territorial sea or internal part, which may be done for any means, by air, by bus, or by क्या बोलते हैं, ship also. Okay, so all the three sales can happen when the goods are in neither of the territory, neither of the outside country nor Indian country. Okay, the term high seas means the open sea which is not a part of territorial sea and internal water of any state. Such sales are carried out after the dispatch of goods from the port or airport of the origin and before the arrival at the airport. Suppose there is a port at France, say London in UK, and Mumbai in this thing and India. When it is dispatched from UK, London till it receives in Bombay port, it is called high sea sales. High sea sales, from the point of view of entity incorporated in India, refers to sale of goods which is made after the goods cross custom barrier of the foreign nation, but before entering the custom barrier of India by way of a transfer of document title to goods. There is no tax in India for high sea sales. For example, X Limited in Germany sells the goods to Y of India at some price. Y Limited, who is the actual consignee or initial importer, sells the good to Z of India by entering into high sea sales agreement. In such a case, transaction between Y and Z is called HSS, where Y is the HSS seller, Z is the HSS buyer. When you enter the Indian territory, you receive certain bill of lading as a document. At that time, all the intermediate transaction agreement, you have to submit it to the custom department. So there won't be any sale. There won't be any tax. High sea sales of imported goods is considered an interstate transaction as per Section 7, subsection 2 of GST. Supply of goods in course of import into territory of India till they cross the customer frontier of India will be deemed as interstate transaction of trade and commerce. The provision to Section 8(1) of IGST also says that goods imported into territory of India will not be treated as intrastate till they cross the customs frontier. Customs frontier of India means the limits of the area of custom station in which imported goods are ordinarily kept before the clearance of custom authority. As per Section 5, subsection 1 of IGST, goods imported into India shall be levied and collected according to Section 3 of Custom Tariff Act. As per Section 3 of 12 of Custom Tariff Act, all duties, taxes, cesses shall be collected at the time of importation. What is the time of importation? When the import declaration filed before custom authority for the custom tariff. When you say bill of lading, all the document, it would be the date of importation The price, what are the other documents you need to provide at the time of importer? Importer will be required to furnish the entire documents as origin invoice, IC sales, details of service charges paid, a commission paid, or intermediate transactions first contracted till the last transaction. Then tax will be taken on the last transaction, and the IC sales would not be taxable. Section 5(1) of the IGST also said the IGST should be collected when custom duty is applied as the same under Section 12. Section 5(1) of IGST, I'm not going to do, but what are they saying? There is a circular number 13, Section 2017 for 1st October. There would be one sales and IGST would be applicable at the time of importation, which I have discussed. While bill of lading, all papers are at that time, the text will be, the document should be submitted. ITC payment on IGST says sale of goods at ICC can be carried out multiple times, but liability to pay IGST falls only at the last buyer in the chain. He can claim ITC on such ITC's purchase. Now, this is a case on which when there is an importation of goods, export of services, it should be foreign exchange should be received through banking channel. Here, PayPal is considered a banking channel. They said yes, PayPal is also a banking channel, though PayPal is making a payment to a Fortune Trading Research Limited, but it's still considered a banking channel. Now we are going into details of this. This is a very good case study. Once you go through this whole case, you would be able to have a lot of clarity on ODIAR and as well as this thing. What is generally happening in case of YouTube? YouTube pays around 6,800 crore to the person who are the YouTube creator. But suppose here there is an example of Mr. Board. Mr. Board is a very powerful. He has a lot of subscribers. He every week update his YouTube channel, and there are a lot of subscribers. When there are a lot of subscribers, YouTube run a YouTube partner program. It's called YPP. So on the basis of YPP, they would allow the advertisement to come in between the content provided by Mr. Board. When Mr. Board is a person who is a content provider, content provider is so liked by so many subscribers. On the basis of viewership, YouTube is running a advertisement on the basis of algorithm, and hence they pay certain money on the basis of that. But before that, they take a permission from Mr. Board. So what happens where YouTube is a portal, is a portal where Mr. Board is going to put his content, and on the basis of what Mr. Board is doing, he is providing a content, and his content is monetized. So he allows the YouTube to run the advertisement, and on the basis of that, his monetization done. On the basis of that, he receives the payment. Say, for example, so 6,800 crores are received by so many Indians in India. So where is the tax? Whether there is a transaction between YouTube and Mr. Board is coming under ODIAR, and there are all permutation combination I have explained. And once you finish this presentation, you'll be clear about ODIAR. Okay. Now I'm going one by one. I will explain you what are the transactions. And Mr. Board is getting around 24 lakh per annum, 2 lakh per month. Tax implication of share of advertising revenue that is paid out of YouTube content creator. What is happening? Sometimes Mr. Board is also using YouTube tools to make his presentation very sharp and usable for others. So he is buying and selling both from buying services and selling from Mr. Board. Mr. Board is an YouTube content creator located in India. He updates the original content every week and is a huge subscriber base. He is qualified for the benefit of under YPP, and he is being paid by YouTube on a monthly basis. Share of advertisement revenue, let's say rupees 2 lakh. The model of operating is simple. Mr. Board create a video, upload to his channel, selects that video and open to money. YouTube, based on its ad algorithm, place advertisement in the video posted by Mr. Board. YouTube collects the money from advertiser as per their agreement, and YouTube pays Mr. Board as a part of revenue sharing, YPP. Further. Now we are going into taxable aspect. In order to understand the tax implication, between YouTube and Mr. Board, it is a prerequisite for us to understand what is the nature of supply. What is the nature of supply? Here is what Mr. Bohr is using the services of YouTube for his presentation, and YouTube is asking the Mr. Bohr to have the advertisement run on his content. So what is the nature of supply? YouTube as well as Mr. Bohr. But who is the supplier? YouTube is the supplier. Or you can say Mr. Bohr is the supplier because he is providing the content. Who is the recipient? Recipient is Mr. Bohr because Bohr is getting portal by which he is providing. And who is on the basis of whose content YouTube is getting money? Because of his content, people are coming and sees the advertisement, and that's why they are getting revenue. So what is the location of supplier? Is it Mr. Bohr or Mr. YouTube? What is the location of recipient of supply? And finally, where is the place of supply? So place of supply is the destination which is visible. But in case of ODIAR, the section 14, it would be a special, though it is outside India, it would be taxable under this thing. Okay. But in this case, we are distinguishing so many things here. That would make you so much clear. Okay. At this juncture, it is important to understand the nature of service provided by YouTube. The core functionality of YouTube is to allow user to share the video. It is an online video sharing platform. Hence, Mr. Board was provided with a platform which allows him to upload the video so that subscriber can watch the content. YouTube is the provider of the service that is allowing Mr. Board to upload the video. Mr. Board is the receiver of said service. As discussed, Mr. Board is located in India. YouTube is located outside India. Therefore, we have identified the supplier is YouTube and the recipient is location. Therefore, now we have to examine what is the nature of services. We shall revert to the nature of services later on. But before that, we have to understand what is the role played by the place of supply vis-a-vis taxation. The determines so place of supply is everything because that is the place except section 30. Place of supply, where is the tax destination base? If the location of recipient of supply is outside India and the location of supplier is in India, if the location of recipient of supply is outside, the location of supply is in India and the place of supply outside, then there is no taxability. Yes, IGST, because it qualifies as a zero-rated product under section 16. Accordingly, if the supplier files a LUT and export is there, it would be as supply is called export of services as he receives money in exchange. A classic example of a software company located in India and a company located outside India. Suppose I am buying a software outside India and the location of service supply is in India, then this would be a case for export of service. A software company located in India. So many companies are doing software entry and they're in India. Whom they are supplying outside India, where the place of supply, they are placing supply of outside India because they're going to their server and doing the work. And a company where the service, they are receiving the money in foreign exchange. So that's why they call under section 16 of IGST. And it is called export of services, zero-rated, SEZ, SE developer. On the other hand, if the location of supply of services is outside India, location of supply. Suppose I am not in India. I am YouTube. YouTube is the location of supply outside India. The location of recipient in India. Board is in India. And the place of supply is within India because he is giving service. Say, it's not a question of board, but board will not come here. The place of supply is within India. So what is in India? the destination is the let's give an example. A software company purchasing a certain software from a person located outside India. In such a case, software company is located in India, is obliged to pay tax under RCM. So what are the conditions? Location of supplier is outside India. We are purchasing the software from outside country, and location we are received. We are receiving the software in India. Hence, it will be covered under RCM. Okay, clear? Yes, now? Again, I am buying a software outside India. Supplier is outside India. Place of supply is in India. I am the recipient service in India. So any software is a software company purchasing software subscription from a person located outside India. Okay. There may be another scenario where the recipient of service. There may be another scenario where the recipient of service is located in India. There may be another scenario where the recipient of service is located in India. I am the recipient of service. I am located in India. Location of supplier is outside India. The person who is supplying outside India, and the place of supply is in India. Here, commission is located in India. Okay. In such a case, recipient of service is not obligated to pay RCM since the place of supply is not in India. A classic example of scenario: a commission is located outside India. So, what is the again place of service in India, receipt in India, but the service provider is outside India, is commission agent. Not even RCM will not be applicable. Are you clear? Yes, no? I am giving. I am receiving service in India. Okay. And place of supply is in India. But the supplier is outside India. So commission agent located outside India. Indian company pays the commission to sales the intermediary service. It will be considered intermediary services since the place of supply of intermediary is the location where the reside. As per the provision of determination, there would not be even RCM also. Clear? Three points which we have discussed here. This is a very particular, like I have gone into so details that you can fathom so many things at the same time. And you would have a lot of clarity developed when you come to this thing. For that, recipient, supplier, kind of services, whether coming under section 13, whether coming under ODIAR, and then you have to say where is the place of supply. Final destination of delivery. If you consider 5 things, you would be able to have whether it is coming under RCM, whether forward charge mechanism, whether section 14. These are the things which I have explained for the purpose of understanding this clarity. And if you have a practical question, you can come back and revert to me. I'll give a call by reading it and going into detail and giving the reason explanation for the same. A final scenario where the location of supplier of service is in India. Location of supplier. So in YouTube is in India. Location of service outside India. Mr. Bohr is outside India, but the place of supply is in India. So YouTube content is in India. Then supplier located is supposed to pay tax under forward charge mechanism. In other words, it is a good as domestic supply. What is the case here? Is the aeroplane is repaired in India. The supplier or recipient of service is India. The service provider is in India, but who wants that supply services? Supplier is abroad. In other words, it is a good as a domestic service provided by the supplier located in India. The supplier may be the receipt of convertible foreign exchange, but still he is obliged to pay tax. A classic example of this scenario is an Indian company in relation to overall belonging to person located outside. The plane belongs to a recipient outside India. Since the place of supply such repair services is located in India and the repair is taken in India, that is why the service has to be taxable. Hence, the determination of place of supply is very crucial and a direct impact on the determination of supply. The place of supply is dependent on section 13, which provides an exception in case of supply or either supplier or recipient is outside India and you have to travel through section 13 to 13.3 to section 13 to see that if they are falling under then it would be covered. Otherwise, you have to apply the normal provision. either recipient or supplier is outside India, then you have to go through section 13, subsection 3 to section 13, 13. Then this would apply. Then again, this section 14, ODIAR. It becomes necessary to examine the provision of section 13 to determine the place of supply of services provided by YouTube, since YouTube is located outside India. The general rule under section the place of supply is location of survey, which I have already covered. However, this general rule is an exception to this. Hence, if we rule out that the provider is outside this thing, then the place of supply would be a normal destination-based supply. So I'm not going to read one by one, okay? So we are considering this. You have to go through this. A survey of section 3 to 13 of section 13 would indicate that section 13 subsection 12 is one of the relevant contexts with section 13.12 deals with the place of supply online information and database service and state that the place of supply is the location of recipient of services. Hence, if the service provided by YouTube falls under ODIAR, then the place of supply shall be the location of recipient, and here the recipient is Mr. Board. Hence, it would be liable for GST in India. The definition of ODIAR, which I've already covered, I'm not going into that. On a reading of the above definition along with a listed inclusion, it would be evident that service provided by YouTube, that is access to video sharing platform, falls under the ambit of ODIAR. The provisions of services of YouTube is impossible in absence of information technology, and the services provided by YouTube can be stated as fall under ODIAR. Since the place of supply of ODIAR is location of recipients as Mr. Board, and accordingly would be in India, since the supply of services is located outside India, that is YouTube, the recipient of supply is located in India, the place of supply in India, the recipient is obliged to pay under RCM. However, we are going into YouTube creation. So, however, since your YouTube does not charge any consideration, because what is doing, they are not charging anything from YouTube provider, Mr. Board. They are allowing him to use that place. However, since YouTube does not charge any consideration for the access of platform to Mr. Board, there would not be any tax implication in that hand. Since there is no consideration, an examination of positions at section 14 under when ODIAR is provided non-taxable online service, he is not analyzed for the purpose of brevity. In that case, Board is not getting, Board is receiving some money, he is not paying. So he is not liable to pay under RCM. But if he is buying some software tools or certain things from abroad, he is liable under RCM. However, the above analysis does not answer our question as to what should be the tax implication on the advertisement revenue shared by the YouTube. Now, let us proceed to examine the place of supply in the case of advertisement, which is being advertisement revenue, which is generated by Mr. Board. The determination. Now we are going into determination of nature of the involved sharing of advertisement revenue. As discussed earlier, Mr. Board on a meeting. As discussed, Mr. Board on meeting the threshold set up by YouTube will be eligible to have YouTube sharing program. Under YouTube sharing program, Mr. Board will be eligible to monetize the video and thereby getting eligible for share of advertisement revenue earned by YouTube. Mr. Board has to turn on the monetize option of his video. And once he does so, Mr. Board can be said to be a service provider to YouTube. Since he is allowing YouTube to run advertisement in his content, consequently YouTube would be a service receiver. We know that location of YouTube service provider and receiver. We know where is the location of service provider and the service receiver. What needs to determine is the place of supply. And that is, it is dependent upon the nature of supply provided by Mr. Board to YouTube. The drill is same as of the kind of scenario. Since one of them is outside India, we need to go to section 13. Go through the section 13 to 3. The service provider would be fit in one can argue that is provided also called as ODIAR. But on close reading, it would appear that ODIAR necessitates supply from provider to recipient with the help of television or internet. However, in the case of Mr. Board, the video is already within the control of YouTube, and by clicking the button, which is at the disposal of Mr. Board, you can take the place ads in this content. In other words, Mr. Board need not do anything more by allowing YouTube to place its ad on his video except giving a consent. Hence, the said service may not be falling under ODIAR. That leaves us to a general law. That is, the place of supply should be the location of recipient. Even if someone takes the argument of that the service provided by Mr. Board are also a nature of ODIAR, then also the place of supply will be the location of recipient. In any case, the place of supply shall be a location of recipient, that is YouTube, because YouTube is getting the services from ODIAR. Since YouTube is outside India, supplier is in India, and the place of supply is outside India, the supply checks out the provision of Section 26 export outside India. Very tough. Are you getting it? Yes, YouTube is outside India, place of supply is outside India, supplier recipient is in India, hence at the Section 26, and he is receiving the money in a foreign exchange. It can be said as zero bets here. Now, if it is zero bet, what are the provisions he is to follow? He is to Rule 96A of City Rules 3 state that any person who wishes to avail the option to supply the services for export without payment of tax has to furnish LUT in form GST or RFD 11 to the Jurisdiction Commissioner, binding himself to pay the export if the payment is not realized in prescribed time. GST RFD 11 can be filed electronically, and it would be sufficient for the entire year if filed beginning of the year. Section 16, subsection 3 of IGST allows the refund of input tax credit that is accumulated by the service provider who gets engaged into zero days. Hence, Mr. Board can apply for refund. So, what is that? Mr. Board, who getting a revenue, is an export of service and is entitled for refund. This is the conclusion which have come here. Now, let us conclude that this part of answering to the question of implication of income generated, that is share of revenue, Mr. Board, since we have analyzed that the said service qualified export service, there is no requirement Mr. Board to pay tax on amount received. However, he is mandated to obtain the registration in light section 24 of CGST, irrespective of the quantum of refund. Even if it's 1 rupee, 10 rupee, he has to register. In other words, even if the income of board in our case is not cross 20 lakh, you would be liable to obtain registration and disclose the receipt on a zero rate basis. Services provided by YouTube to a taxable person. Now we are into a different mechanism. YouTube is there. He asks, some person is asking for advertisement. Some person is asking for, so there are two kind of person, taxable and non-taxable. Let's talk about taxable person. The advertisement revenue that is set by YouTube to the content creator is derived from the separate contract that YouTube enters into with a different person. Let's say company located in India intends to advertise their product with the help of YouTube. They enter into contract with YouTube accordingly, else leave its algorithm. In such a case, company is undoubtedly the service receiver. YouTube is the service provider. The nature of supply shall be ODIAR because it covers advertising on the internet. In such cases, the place of supply shall be the location of service recipient. Since the place of supply is in India, the recipient is located in India, the company, Indian company, has to pay tax under RCM. So, XYZ company using the advertisement services of YouTube is to pay tax under RCM because the place of supply, this place of supply is outside India, recipient is India, and the service is provided to outside India. Service is provided to non-taxable person. So, non-taxable, non-business purpose. Section 14 would apply and they have to pay tax accordingly. So, I am a businessman. I am paying for an advertisement, but I am not a registered dealer. In that case, I am a non-taxable person. I am a taxable person. I am using for my personal purpose. Then also the YouTube has to pay that. YouTube has enrolled out of premium subsidy recently under the premium subsidy. An individual can make a payment to YouTube and avoid see advertisement in the content basis to watch in area. Ideally, individual will be obliged to pay tax under RCM if all the condition of import services is satisfied. However, in order to relieve the individual from obtaining the registration and complying the tax with Section 14 of GST, the YouTube is obliged to make payment of tax for all services provided to individual. Service received by the content creator from person outside India. Service received by the content creator for person outside India. So YouTube is giving services to person of a content creator from person outside India. It is possible that YouTube content creator located in India to avail certain services from outside India for creating content that is to be hosted on YouTube. Let us say in our case, Mr. Board has subscribed for a software tool, which is used in editing video before posting in YouTube. The payment made to software tool company, which is located outside India using a credit card. In such a case, Mr. Board is obliged to pay under RCM if service qualified for import of services, that is the service. If place of supply is also outside India, then there is no obligation. Suppose he is using the software outside India, then there is no obligation to pay tax under RCM as discussed one of the scenario while dealing with the importance of place of supply. Suppose place of supply is outside India and he is a recipient in India, place of supply is outside India, supplier is outside India, no RCM. With this, I have covered the YouTube, which is a very huge case. Now next Friday. Now I'm going to on 4th. No, I'm going to take it on 4th May. 4th May, Saturday, 6:30. You can WhatsApp me for the question which you want to ask me regarding this. My address is there. You can mail me the answer. There is a blogspot where you can make a registration. So if you want to go through that, I can once again go through in 5 minutes about YouTube. Let me explain orally, mota. There is a YouTube, there is Mr. Bohr, and there is a YouTube. Suppose Mr. Bohr is buying a services of a YouTube, which is located outside India, hence he has to pay for the software. If that software is not delivered outside India, is not using that, there would be an RCM. And Mr. Bohr is Mr. Bohr is a content provider, so the supply is there. Okay, and this case, with this, I'm concluding here. Any question, you are most welcome. Okay, thank you very much.